I'm just going to say we have 2 math days in a row. We'll have a print day on Wednesday, mostly because I was gone. Well, we were both gone, obviously, but we need to get some math done, so we're going to. Short week this week for school. Yes, there is school on Wednesday. You don't have school Thursday and Friday. Again, because of the short week. Thanksgiving. Jolie. No page this week because it's a short week. So she'll be here next Wednesday. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, she'll be here next Wednesday. Are you being serious right now, Yahi? Are you being serious with that question? Well, since it's November, I'll take the time to answer it right now, and then you'll never ask me again. I write homework that's assigned. 3.2 is due today. 3.3 you're getting today. So that's the homework assigned today is 3.3. If you haven't noticed that yet, it's cool. So you will get 3.3 today. You are turning in 3.2 today. You should have got 3.2 on Thursday with Miss Parker. Okay.
Both 3.2 and no 3.3 and 3.4 to work on Wednesday. No.
3.3 is due tomorrow. Yes, you have to turn it in. 3.4 is not going to be due until Monday, this November 30th when we get back.
Oh, man.
So if you want to work on Wednesday, 3.3 will be turned in tomorrow. Okay, so 3.3 is turned in tomorrow. You'll work on Wednesday. No. Okay. Enough of that. I also, I'm not going to tell you what else we're doing. We're just going to get going. 3.2. Stations. And,
By the way, that station thing that was targeted is very confusing.
I told you about it before. Was that confusing? Yep.
Where were you guys?
We were in New Orleans.
Run?
Yep.
Me too.
No, you were not. We told you that. I told you that on
Very
Wednesday. We were in New Orleans. We were presenting at the National Career and Technical Education Conference. So we went and talked about our class, your class, this class. And you don't really know it. You are the only class like this in the nation. We've told you, like, you're the only class in the nation. You're the only class in the world who has is running through an entrepreneurial program with actual entrepreneurs. Right? Ty is not in any other class anywhere. You're one of the only classes who runs a business, an actual business, and makes actual money.
You make money for the school now.
Dude, yeah, you don't get to make the money. Like, It's due today. I gave you 3.1 last time I saw you. Miss Parker gave you 3.2. I'm checking them both today.
Wait, so I somehow got 3.3.
Did she pass us all?
No. I somehow got it. You didn't pass it out yet.
It's not even what 3.3 is. That was my 3.3 from last year. You might have grabbed, if you went back over there and there's an old...
I didn't grab it.
Hey, the other thing we need to do is talk about slope. I can't tell you how many of you failed your test because you didn't know what a positive or a negative slope was. That's not going to happen again. You interrupting me. No, just don't let it happen again. You don't need to apologize. Just it won't happen again. Okay, a lot of you guys, Bad News Bears, do not know what slope is. Thanks, Omar. Better you than me. So we're going to do a little warm-up on tomorrow. You can see you're going to have another quiz. Your quiz tomorrow is going to be on, again, lines and slope, because I'm not so happy with where we're at with slope. But that's okay. We can get better, and we'll fix it together. Okay? So true story. I'm disappointed in your guys' performance. I take some of the credit for that. Okay, so a lot of you guys wrote that there was a positive slope on a negative line, and that is not okay. We need to know the difference between a positive slope and a negative slope. So we're going to work on that a bit. I'm going to give you guys another chance. That's why A2 is going to be back on that quiz. So tomorrow, there's going to be more on slope and equations, and then more on systems. It's going to be your first systems quiz tomorrow. So there will be 2 parts to it. We won't have A1 on it, though. Okay, so just slope and equations and lines, and then systems. Yes, Abraham? Okay, you'll make it up when you come back. Okay.
For what?
First, there's going to be 2 different ones. One's graph. Who can tell me what slope is? Xander. Rise over run. Rise over run. Show me with your hand how, rise, what direction that is. Great, fantastic. So rise over run then is horizontal. Okay, so rise, run. We know rise like in our heads. So remember that we're thinking rise over run. Rise over run. Okay. There can be a negative rise, and then you would have a negative slope. Keep that in mind. Two problems. So, one, I give you the graph. One, I want you to make the graph or use an equation or do something. Okay? Yes, I'm looking for 3.1 and 3.2. That's 2 homework assignments right now.
Wait, 3.2 is
Oh my god.
Oh my god, Hannah. She's gonna go insane and start murdering us all.
But I was joking.
With rulers.
And I cut them in half, and the top one said all 3.1, and the bottom one said 3.3. You know, don't worry too much about it. So if you have systems representations is 3.1. And if you don't have it, then something was suspect. Yeah. Hey, do you have your homework? I cannot move on until I see one. I'm going to let you guys talk. Hey, shh. Let me finish, then I'll talk again. I need 100%, like I said, I need each and every one of you to have these perfectly correct. Why? Because I need a little bit of brightness on this Monday morning. Okay? So, I need each of you to have it 100% correct. What I want you to do right now, if you haven't already, is look at the person next to you's paper. You have to have the same thing written down. I'll give you a hint. One of your slopes should be positive, one of them should be negative. If you don't have a negative slope written down, we're going to have a really big deal.
That's what I was
Okay? So, in 30 seconds, you need to be ready to tell me the slope of each of these 2 lines. In 30 seconds, and they all need to be the same. And I'm going to come around and check in about 20 seconds. Ready, set, go. Graphs the same way we read words. Left to right. Siempre. Always and forever. Always and forever. And I'm always, the question I'm asking, right, we all, like all of you in here know rise over run. You've heard that so many times, and for some reason, it's one of those things that students really remember. Maybe because of the 2 R's, I'm not sure. But like even adults, you'll remember slope is rise over run as an adult. You won't really maybe remember like much more about it, and that's whatever. I'm just being for real with you. But you will remember rise over run. You'll be like, yeah, rise over run, like, duh. Okay? I'm not talking about it. Okay? So rise over run. That's the big thing we need to remember. From the left to the right, I have to go up. How many? And over how many? 5. So that my slope here, my m, would be 2 over 5 because I went up 2 over 5. Yay! Yeah, exactly. And there's a very big difference between this and this. These two lines are massively different. Massively different. Okay? And here, sometimes what you guys, as students, I hear people say, is some of you will write this, and some of you did this on your test. And I marked it wrong. I marked it all the way wrong. And you're like, you go like this. Some students say, you marked it wrong because I didn't have that? I didn't have a tiny little mark and now it's all the way wrong and I just failed my test? Yes. Yes.
That's a big focal point.
Okay?
Deciding whether or not it looks like
Because look, let's just be honest. Two incredibly different lines. Yeah. Hey, Lorenzo. If we're talking about profit, you had darn well better recognize that one of these situations is very different. And in fact, very bad. Business, not so good right now. Okay? Because again, I start from left to right. Always left to right. Always rise or run first, right? Rise and then run. So figure out if you're rising, then do the run. Here, I have to go down first. That gives me my negative, and then I go over 5. Okay? Always to the right. Okay? Hope you don't die.
I just don't feel excited right now.
Sorry. Love you. Okay, we're gonna talk about your test really quickly, and then we're gonna get rolling. Oh yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Kinda. Come grab your test. You guys know the drill, right? Try and come up this channel, go back that channel. I'm giving them back to you. You took them here, just so you know. Took them on the 13th. We're going to put this information into our notebooks. So if you haven't, or if you want to get ahead of me, we're going to put these on our progress sheet. We took them the 13th. I only saw you for like 2 days last week, so whatever. Okay?
I got a 1 and a 1.
You have 2 different tests in here, so that means
you
like 2
won.
different
Okay.
scores.
Yes.
So here's what we're going to do. You have an A1 test and an A2. So on A1, that's the front page. That front page score, go to your A1 tabber-dabber-doo. Okay, A1 tab, A1, and I'm going to put in here 1113. A1 test, and I'm going to put my score. Okay, so A1 is the front page. That black box in the middle of the page, if you're not sure which learning target it is, that black box in the middle of the page, are we seeing the black box?
Yeah.
That tells you the learning target. So, oh my gosh, if you haven't noticed, that's A1. A2 is the back page. Yes, you. No. Yahi, why are you pretending like you don't know how this class works? You get the score for the highest problem you get right. Could you miss the C level and get an A? Yes, you could. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people did. Also, make sure you go to your A2 page. We forgot to put our last one in there. Yeah. You're going to, guess what? You're going to have another A2 test as well. Don't you worry.
Oh my God.
Ultimately, here's the deal. If you haven't figured this out, because some of you, Lorenzo, are talking while I'm talking, and it's pissing me off, okay? If you haven't passed A2 yet, we are going to continue to attempt it. There are going to be so many attempts on it. The goal being that you start showing some improvement. So if you're sitting there and you have 1s for both of these, it's probably time to come talk to me. It's probably a note that says, oh, I need to come make sure I get some extra help with Ms.Stolte. Okay? Same thing. On A1, right? If you have 1s on both, you need to come talk to me. You're not passing the class.
I have a question.
Okay?
So like, I got a 2, yeah,
That was a dot on your test. That was from on Friday when you guys took it, what I was talking to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about a few specific things. Make sure, please, you have your score recorded. Scores were recorded, yes or no?
Yeah.
Make sure your scores are recorded. Also, a good student move, just to try and help you out, this is true for any of your classes. When you have things that are really impact your grade, okay, here, it's the same thing like as an adult, you might go and check your bank account. Okay, so I just, you know, I deposited a check a few weeks ago, and I had to go check my account to make sure it was the right amount. Or, you know, go make sure you're not getting charged for weird stuff. Okay?
I do that too.
You also might want to check synergy. It's possible that I enter in grades wrong. It's possible. You might want to make sure, because guess what? I'm not going to notice. Your other teachers aren't going to notice. Right? You need to make sure you're keeping track of your grade. Make sure that your scores match what you got in your test so that your grade's all in order. Okay? Because that would be a real crappy. And I don't mean to enter them wrong, but mistakes happen on all your classes. That's one of the reasons why you should check your grades, to make sure, like, hey, things line up. Yay. Okay. A few things. You had to show the check. You had to show the check. You did not show the check. You did not get the credit. You could have been right. You could have been right. And if you didn't show the check, you wouldn't get the credit. Yeah, because, see? Yeah. And. Yeah.
You didn't show the check, so make sure you don't
I want you to show the check because I want you to know when you're right or when you're wrong, and because when you guys take your work sample, you have to show the check in order to get credit. Yep. So you're going to be taking a work sample, and part of the thing is that, and this is not my decision, they say in order to meet the Oregon Department of Education requirement, students must check their work. So we're practicing now. Okay? I tell you to check your work like every time we solve an equation. And so, sassy pants. Are you sick? The answer for the B level should have been 4. 4 for the B level. For the A level, a couple things. This was not, some of you guys from your quiz, you're like, oh, they distribute. You made sure to use the word distribute because we talked about that last time on your quiz. This was not a distributive thing though. Okay, so, or if you wrote like, oh, I don't know what they did, but you got, like, that's not the question. It's not an A level for you to tell me I don't know what they did. An A level says I have enough understanding of this solving process that I can tease out what that person was doing or thinking. Okay, that's the next level, right? That's the next level, is pushing your thinking. Here, oh my, on the C level, I was grading these before I read your subnotes. You're lucky it wasn't after. You had to have a negative. You had to have a negative. You had to have a negative. That line is going down to negative. Please make sure you recognize a positive versus a negative slope, because for the A level on tomorrow's quiz, or the B level, tomorrow's quiz you're going to have to get the slope correct. I'm going to say you must do C level and this one. Yes. Are you being sassy, or are you really asking a question? Okay, then I will really answer your question. Here are my 2 points. You can see that I graphed mine wrong the first time around. Okay, here are my 2 points. Whoa. From left to right means I start here. I would go down 3, right? That's a negative 3. And then I would go over 6. So that my slope would be negative 3 over 6, which simplifies to negative 1 over 2. Yes? I'll talk to you about it individually. Okay? Okay, so that's making sure. Please note, you had to have a negative slope. You had to have a negative slope. Just like our warm-up. If a line is going down, it has a negative slope, going down, down, negative, down, negative. Does that make sense? Is it like, or is it crazy? Is it crazy? Like, Really, I'm asking. You can say like, I don't really get it, but. So what do you think? It's okay or no? You sure? I mean, does it make sense though? I think it does. I genuinely think that like it's going down. Huh? It's hard to understand sometimes?
Sometimes.
The big thing, if
Like,
we.
I get it now, but when I first started learning this stuff,
Yeah.
it took me a minute.
Yeah, it does take a minute, but hopefully once, the idea being this, people, here's the idea. Jolie? The idea being, yeah, it's a little bit sometimes weird to learn, but once we get there, it shouldn't be something that you go, I just am randomly memorizing this. Because if you're at a spot where you're randomly memorizing, A, you're not going to remember it for very long, and B, that means that you don't understand it yet. Because once we understand something, we don't have to memorize anymore. Okay, once we understand something, we are done memorizing. Okay, lots of good stuff on B level. Generally pretty impressed. Most of you guys did pretty well. Some of you solved for the y-axis, which was cool. And then A was -7. Okay, a bunch of different ways we could go about A. I saw some really cool methods come out. Some of you did some algebra stuff, which was awesome to see. Some of you did some problem-solving stuff. I really liked yours, Abby. That wouldn't have been how I did it, which was cool. I just put mine on the graph. Yeah.
The algebra.
Yeah.
So, like, if you get the C level question correct, but you get, like, other level questions wrong, then you only get a point for C level. Right? You still get points for it?
Right. If you got the C level correct and then missed the A and B level, you'd be at a C.
Okay.
If you get the C level wrong and then you get the B and the A level, I'll still give you the A.
Okay.
Sometimes. But like, here's what's going to happen. I'm just warning you on your quiz. On your quiz tomorrow, I'm going to say must do C level also.
But you're gonna say what's
For the A and B level, it's going to say you have to also do the C level. I'm just warning you right now. So the C level is going to have to be correct and the other ones. Okay? Because they're not very long. Yep. Yeah, your finals tomorrow. It's going to be really cool. Yeah.
Yay!
Wait, what?
Just, hey, if I say something to Yahi, the rest of you can ignore it, but if it's just special for him. It's just special for Yahi. Cool, me too.
Wait.
Okay.
Something about a final what?
Yeah.
Did you not hear
not a
what
final.
she said? If I
All right.
put something to Yahi, everybody else can just ignore it.
Yeah, please do.
Scared me. I was like,
No, just
scared me. I was like,
solving equations.
Yeah.
Look in your notes real quickly. Last class, are we in our notes? I want you to be at the page where it looks like mine. Last class. Last Tuesday. Maybe Wednesday. The 18th. We took some real good notes. We had one example. Are we looking?
Yeah.
I'm going to point out a difference. This is a Common Core mathematical practice. Making sense of structure. You don't care. When you have both your equations equal to y, we can put the two equations equal to each other. Because if they're equal to the same thing, they're also equal to each other. Right? Here's a good analogy. I'm the same height as Omar. Omar is the same height as Kane. Like, okay? What does that mean about me and Kane? Don't say y equals y. I'm not talking about y's. That means we're the same height as well, right? If I'm the same height as Omar, Omar's the same height as Kane, me and Kane are also the same height. Okay, so here, no, it's same. If 5x minus 5 is equal to y, and y is also equal to -6x plus 6, then these two guys are also equal, because they're both equal to y. So if they're both equal to y, they're both equal to each other. Okay, what if they're not? Let's see, we did one example last time. Yeah, we did one example last time where we had a y equals equation, which was nice. Those are nicer. But then we had a jumbly equation in standard form that was not y equals. Now, the way I recommended, the way we talked about doing it, kind of expanding, giving us a new way of doing it last time, was say, okay, I might not be able to put the two equations equal, but I can take this negative 6x, and since it's equal to y, I can plug it in to my equation for y. I can just drop that in there for y. And then, if I do that, if I replace the y with negative 6x, if I substitute the y with negative 6x, notice I get this new equation that doesn't have any y's in it. It's just x's. And once my equation is just x's, now I can solve it. Okay? So, we're going to do another one like this right now, and then we're going to go one step further. So our notes for today and for tomorrow, this is how we're going to operate. We're going to do one the same, and then we're going to go one step further. Okay? We have about 3 or 4 days more pushing, and then we'll be done. Okay? So, let's try. Please make sure you have this in your notes. You have this in your notes. We're going to be referencing it right now because I'm going to give you one that's very similar so we can practice it. Because this was one of your homework problems that lots of you didn't do, or you did poorly on, and that's okay, as long as we get better. No, because we didn't know how to. Some of us were like, it's still new, and that's okay if it's still new as long as we keep trying. Okay, so here, A3, talking about systems. I'm going to give you an example. Use substitution to solve the system. Use substitution to solve the system. You can't see. That's true. Here are your two equations. Y equals 8x plus 7. 5x minus 3y equals negative 2. Okay, stick with this one. Okay. So as a reminder, we're going to do the same thing we did last time. Alright, last time, again, we knew what y was equal to, and so we got to substitute that into my second equation. I get to replace the y in my second equation with what y is equal to. Okay? Yep. So here, again, that same thing means this. 8x plus 7 we know is equal to y. So I'm going to drop that into that bottom equation. I'm going to replace the y in the second equation with 8x plus 7. So give that a shot. Try at least writing a new equation. So all of us right now have to write a new equation, and your new equation should have only x's in it. And hold on, look real quick. And we see parentheses and a number in front, so we know we do what? Distribute. What number are we distributing?
-3.
Yeah, make sure that whole -3, make sure you didn't skip the negative.
Yeah.
The whole -3 gets distributed. Keep going, people.
No, it's not. Yeah,
How we doing? Hold up. prove him wrong?
Yes, but he's just like, no, I don't know. He's just.
Oh, that's good.
Hey, listen to me, please, real quick. Just give me, hey, 1 second. Actually, I'll talk for about 3.
Okay.
3 minutes. Abraham. So, 5x minus 24x minus 21 negative 2. These guys on the same side. Please make sure you don't go flipping things around right here. Sometimes people do a minus 5x and they do weird stuff. They're on the same side, which means all I have to do is combine them. All I'm doing is subtracting them. And when I do 5x minus 24x, I get negative 21x. No, I don't.
Negative 19.
Yeah, I don't get negative 21. That'd be bad.
Use a pencil.
JK. You can't see pencil very well when I project. Okay. Okay. And then add 21.
Yeah, we just all got,
What'd you get? What'd you get? What's negative 2 plus 21?
negative 19x equals 19.
Equals 19.
Sir.
So then, what am I dividing by?
Negative 19.
Yeah, the number in front of the x. Was he right?
1.
Hold on.
So you get positive y negative 1.
You got, did you say negative 19 divided by negative 19 is 1? Yeah, no, listen. Yahi's question. Hey, that negative 19 divided by negative 19 is 1. It absolutely is.
But
It's 1. It's 1. No, listen. Shh. Listen to what Yahi said. Listen. He said the answer should be 1 because negative 19 divided by negative 19 is 1. Hold on. And that's true. Negative divided by negative is a positive 1. But where is that positive 1? Yeah, it's in front of the x.
positive 1x.
This makes it so that it's a positive. Technically, I could write 1x. But the answer, what it's equal to, 19 divided by negative 19 is negative 1, which makes our x negative 1. Bonus points. I'll give a piece of candy right now to anyone who has a y on their thing.
Ha ha ha.
1, 2, 3.
Alright.
Yeah.
We're just sitting here like we know this.
Because we did a check.
What's your y?
Negative 1. And I did a check to prove it.
Notice that when we did it this way, the check was equal to the y value. Remember? And so that's where you have the negative 2. You know what I'm talking about right now? No. You thought y was negative 2, yes?
Yeah.
Because when you checked it, you got negative 2 equals negative 2.
Oh.
Hold on. That doesn't work. Or that only works, Jolie, to be fair, that works for here because these are both equal to y. So it works for these type of equations, but it doesn't work for these type where I'm plugging it in. Because I'm making an entirely new equation now. Okay? So, but we do know, you should know, the solution to a system, the solution where 2 lines cross, Kane, how many numbers? Where do 2 lines cross? No, don't listen to him. His name's not Kane. Cross out of what? No.
I'm sorry,
2 lines cross out of what? At an ordered pair. At a point. Right? Lines cross at points. Arcane, yes? Lines cross at points, which is x and y. So, here's what we need. Intersect. Well, you could say 2 lines cross where they intersect, but that's redundant. That's the definition of intersecting. There is no such thing as... hold on. Intersect is more of a verb. Intercept is a noun.
Yes.
So intersecting lines, right? Yes, they intersect at a point though. I don't say, yeah, absolutely it is. You don't say they intersect at a intersect. No. No. That doesn't make sense. What you're saying doesn't make sense. I'm trying to explain it to you, but you're not listening.
You said that backwards. 2 points
Hold on.
intersect at an intersect.
No, you would say 2 lines.
I know what I'm saying. It goes through my head. That's all that
This is what you would say.
matters. Woo!
No.
No, like a Y intercept.
What are you doing?
Intercept is where they actually cross.
Why
Or
are you
intersect.
stalling?
Yeah, that's really
Yes, that's an. This is yes an intersection. Okay. Shh. 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 I have a serious question too because you guys, quite frankly, if yes, is it important how we speak? Yes, it is. Is it important to be specific with our language? Yes, it is. Okay? Whether we're talking about math class, whether we're talking about our business, right? When you're making your pitch, does it matter what you say?
Yeah.
You bet it does matter what you say.
Because if you don't get your audience.
And it matters how you sound, right? So yeah, you might think that Yahi's trying to waste time and just talk about this, but it is a big deal because I don't want you guys walking around sounding dumb. Right? I'm not saying you are, I'm not saying you do, but that's why I'm taking the time to point it out. Okay? I don't say lines intersect at an intercept. Intercepts. Please, let's just try and be specific and notice the difference. They intersect there, intercepts. Right? Sure. Are points on the X or Y axis. Intercepts are just on a single line. What's your question?
Okay, when it's like, okay, substitute this little y equals 8x plus 7 thing, can we solve for that and then enter the number we get for y, or do we have to enter it as a weird thing?
I don't know what you're saying.
Neither do I.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we enter it into, when we're substituting, we say, let's put this in there as like the
Yeah.
whole thing. But would it be possible to say like -7 or -7, put it over here, solve it, and then put it in?
I don't if I understand what you're saying, no. Okay. Now here's the problem, people. We still don't know what y equals.
Right.
Give me your attention back.
He needs some milk.
I don't care if we stay in here through lunch. Yeah, you might want to then be quiet. Okay. We have to still find out what y equals. Arcane, in your notes, please. In your notes. I'm going to write mine underneath because I don't want to go to a new page. In order to solve for y, we need to plug in -1 for x. Okay, so I'm going to go back all the way to the beginning, to my very first equation, to this equation. We had y equals 8x plus 7. And I'm going to plug that -1 now, since it's equal to x. Again, this is the same idea, Arcane. I need you to write this down. No, sit up please for a minute. I'll let you sit back down there when you're working, but you're not right now. Okay. -1 in for x. This is the same idea that we did before. right? The same way we plugged a bunch of stuff in for y, I can also just plug in one number for x. So that my equation, my y would equal 8 times negative 1 plus 7. And when I multiply those, negative 8 plus 7, I get that my y value is negative 1. Now, I did give 3 people pieces of candy, but technically I won't ever again because no one had it written down correctly. Okay? Because again, where do two lines intersect at a point, aka an ordered pair? Did you have it? Okay, so here, this would be my final answer. Here, written as an ordered pair.
I just wrote it down like that. Can I have a
No.
Just
Okay.
Hey, you did.
Now, here's what's going to happen. I'm just warning you right now because we have 30 minutes left in class. Okay?
That's a lot.
There's going to be an exit ticket that you are not leaving until it is correct. Yes, I'm serious. Now, some of you that might be fine. No, I'm just trying to give you a heads up because that way some of you might change your behavior. Otherwise, we're going to stay in here and have this little study hall until you know it. Okay, so. All right. We're going to do one more. This is, if you want to know, this is a practice one. Yes, we are. Okay, y equals 4x plus 6. Negative 5x minus y equals 21. Okay. Some parentheses down. When you're plugging in some stuff for y, there's a negative 1 in front.
Doesn't come out very clean, does it?
It's negative 5.
Where's the negative 1?
You probably did it wrong.
Where's the negative 1? Oh, the y makes it 1. Wait. Is that true?
Negative 9x equals
When you plug it in, this is how I do it if you're struggling with that negative sign.
21.
Yeah. I distribute my negative 1, making sure, hey, hold up. Making sure I distribute the negative 1 to the negative 1. So that negative 1 times 4 is negative 4x. Negative 1 times positive 6 is negative 6.
Equals 21.
Yes. Then I combine like terms, Omar. Don't talk to my friends. Negative 5 minus 4 gives me a negative 9x minus 6 equals 21. And from there, I know we're okay with solving, so I'm going to go fast.
What? Wait, why is it 27 cents?
I was wrong.
Oh.
Okay,
Good.
next. Kale,
Don't do it.
we need the y as well.
Oh, I just went.
Okay? To solve for y, we have this thing, right? I'm going to plug in negative 3 in place of x. So I'm going to plug in negative 3 in place of x. So I have negative 12 plus 6, which equals negative 6. Now, here's the deal.
Still not done.
Did you get it? A lot of you guys were like, and I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm right. If we look back, and I'll remind you from our last example, in order to check, Here's the question you're asking yourself. That number, your solution, your point is correct if it's a point on both lines. So, it's correct if it's a point on both lines. Now, that begs the question. If I give you some line, let's say I gave you some equation. Here's the question. Yahi, look. How do you know, Jolie, how do I know if that point is on the line?
I know.
What does it mean? And here's a bigger question. I'm actually going to put this question on your quiz tomorrow. I'm giving you a hint.
Where's the quiz from?
What does it mean to be a point on a line?
We had that exact same question in architecture.
What's the answer, Uncle?
I forget, it was last year.
What does it mean to be a point on a line? Because again, if we understand it, we're not memorizing random stuff.
I guess we can go through the point on the line.
Is it like we have to know spacey about it? It means to represent.
No, it's not very spacey. Listen. I'm going to tell you this. You might want to pay attention. And I'm going to try and tell you again, and I'm going to tell you again, and I'm going to tell you again. A point on a line, every equation of a line, really what it boils down to is a relationship between x and y. Let's talk about something real. It's a relationship between items sold and profit. That's what an equation is. It's a relationship between the items sold and the profit. Listen, please. So, if it's the relationship there, the point on a line, these numbers are all numbers that make your equation true. Someone give me a point they know is on this line. Hint.
Positive 6 comma 0.
Yeah. How do we say 0, 6?
It's the y-intercept.
We could think about it as a table. When x is 0,
It's positive 6. Y is 0.
what is it? Hey, what's this? When x is 1, what do I get?
You get 10. No.
Yes, 3. 9.
Oh, no.
Anthony, where does this line start? Anthony, where did Abraham, where does this line start? And what's it doing each time? So if it starts at 6, what is it when x is 1? So when x is 2,
14. 19. 18. 20.
listen. This means not only, that's how lines grow. They represent growth and starting values. But that's not what I'm talking about. I know that these points are on that line because if I plug them in, right, let's plug in 214. If I plug in 214, I would get 14 equals 4 times 2 plus 6. What's 4 times 2?
8.
What's 8 plus 6?
14.
14.
You're gonna get 14. 14. Wow.
Look. Hey. All of these points make my equation true. To be a point on a line means it's an ordered pair. It's an x and a y that fit your equation, that make your equation true. Kale, none of you could answer me when I said this, so I expect that all of you are paying attention. To be a point on a line means You're an x and a y that make the equation true. So, how do I know? Let's use that. How do I know if negative 3, negative 6 is on that line?
Check it.
You go backwards.
The 21 equation.
You go backwards.
I do not need to check it with the 21 equation because I'm not worried about it being on the 21 equation. I'm worried about if that point is on that line.
Oh, you can put,
Okay? Can you say that more concisely? What are you doing? When you,
Plugging in.
you're plugging it in.
Makes this work.
And if I plug it in, what should happen?
It should be true.
It should be true.
But it's not.
If I plug this in, it should be true. Okay, so if we plug that in, to check, add to your notes. Let's summarize. Again, to check, what we're doing is we need to make sure that that is a point. Please put this in your notes. That needs to be a point on both of the lines. We had two lines that we're talking about. We had two equations we were talking about. We were talking about these two. And again, so great, you might have in your notes, you need to make sure it's a point on both lines. What's the next natural question?
Well, what if it's not a point?
Nope. What's it? If I said, hey, Lorenzo, if I told you to make sure that's a point on the line, what are you gonna do? Why would you take its answer? Plug it in. And what? Solve. To be a point on a line means it makes your equation true. Means it makes your equation true. So here you might say, yeah, I wrote down it needs to be a point on a line, but then kind of you're like, what is it? So what is it? How do I know if it's a point? How do I know if it's a point on the line? This is a point on both lines. You got to plug this in to both equations. We have the y equals 4x plus 6, and we have the negative 5x minus y equals 21. And I'm trying to plug it in to both equations. Yes, you could graph it too. But you don't even know how to graph this. Okay, go ahead. You graph it then. When I'm plugging that in, that means I'm trying to plug that into both equations. You do that. You know how to plug in x and y. I don't need to do that for you. Making sure you're plugging in x and y. Plug it into both equations. That is how you check. That is how you check. I want you to plug it in right now because I want you to have a good example. Yes, I'm going to tell you that it should check out. You should not be getting wrong answers. No, pun intended. Always. Here's where we're starting to pick it up. Okay? You should have plugged it into both equations. I'm not going to we plugged in stuff enough. I'm not going to do this step for you anymore. You need to know this step. You should have got negative 6 equals negative 6 and 21 equals 21. Okay? No. You should have got for your check negative 6 equals negative 6 and 21 equals 21. You should have got two true equations. So that my answer, my final answer, is the point negative 3, negative 6. You'll notice this took me an entire page in my notebook.
Do we always have to do check that much?
yes.
Yeah?
Now here's the deal. Ansel's saying he doesn't really want to check. That's what
I
he's.
do want to check this.
But he's saying he doesn't. This is a lot of work. Is what he's saying. Now here's the deal. It is. The quicker we get at it, the less I will have you do. Okay? If we did literally nothing. Well, we got distracted today. There. We did 2 examples today.
In like an hour.
Okay?
Hey, that is
That's a very low number.
Don't discourage
big
us.
time. Don't.
Okay? But that's fine so long as, right? We don't have to do a bunch of quantity if we have really high quality work. That's how I feel for this. So, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you one problem. This is your exit ticket. Your one problem is going to be perfect. It's going to be perfect.
Ronda Rousey.
What do I mean when I say it's going to be perfect? Give me some examples. Go ahead.
It's gonna have a check and like it gets into the.
It's going to have a check. What else is it going to have?
It's gonna have correct answers.
Yeah, it's going to be correct. It's going to have a check. It's going to be correct. What else? What's another big thing? What?
Oh, ha ha ha.
It's using substitution. What's the word for that? It's going to be written as an ordered pair. There's one more thing I need.
You have to have fun.
Starts with an S. Ends with a how your work.
Show your work.
Yeah, show your work.
Show
Just
your
check.
work.
No.
See, guys?
No, look. This is showing my work, Yahi. This is showing my work. This is a check. Okay.
Are all projectiles flying?
Yes. They are.
Unscientific. Sir, I can't see. Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Oh, bright lights.
I mean, I'd much rather hear Uncle
Your work until you are walking out the door. You should know exactly where you're at. You should know if you're correct because you check. You can absolutely ask questions like of how to do it. I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong until you walk out that door. If you are wrong when you come to the door, I'm going to send you right back to your seat and you're going to stay in here until you have it right. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by exit ticket. And I told you 30 minutes ago.
Yay!
So complain to someone else. No, you can't though.